I think everybody's relieved at this particular point. It's the worst kept secret ever, right? So it was just a matter of when he was going to get here, and everybody right now is relieved because now as you head into mini camp next week, gives him an opportunity to start learning the offense, learning who his teammates are, and ultimately get him ready and start prepare for training camp to start next month.
In terms of fit, they clearly didn't need there was a need at the position. But how do you think he fits with this roster, moving forward?
Is he the plug and play piece to say now they're an instant Super Bowl contender? No, not immediately, only because there's still holes that they have to fill on this particular roster. So that's going to still, there's going to be some moves made as prior to they get to training camp in preparation of that. But right now is not at the time to hoist the Lombardi trophy in the offseason, right? So you got to be able to do so moving forward. For me, as he learns the offense, one of the critical things for me that I want to see, how can he now build a rapport with this team? Because 50% of this roster is new, but yet they're young on the offensive side of the ball. This is going to be the fifth year that they now have a new offensive captain. So they're looking for a leadership position. He instantly fills that particular void. But how is he going to build relationships with the young first rounder, Derek Hammond, that he's 21 years old and now Karen Rodgers is 21 years in the NFL. So he has to figure out how he's going to blend it. But when you've been around this league, you know how to build a relationship with the younger players.
Do you think he has, I guess the cliche stuff, anything left in the tank? What did you see last year from Aaron? Obviously, he had a year off essentially the year before coming back from the injury.
And I think, you never want to wish injury on anybody, but that could potentially be a blessing as you move forward because it gave his body a chance to recover as he was recovering from his Achilles injury. But yet last year wasn't his best year, and he'll be the first to admit that. But now, as you now move on to another year, there's still going to be a lot of doubt that people nationally have for him, and that fuels the fire for him to now want to come in and prove a lot of people wrong. So I think there is an opportunity that way for him to move forward. Are we going to get the best? Well, what we saw 10 years ago when he beat the Steelers in the Super Bowl? No, but that's expected. But ultimately, this is why. But this is why the organization felt the need to make this move and obviously bring him in here because if they didn't, he would not be a member of the Steelers.
He obviously one of the most polarizing players in the league as well. But the Steelers have a coach who's handled a lot of interesting players in the past. You know Mike Tomlin well. You played for Mike Tomlin. How about that fit, Coach Tomlin coaching Aaron Rodgers up?
Yeah, I think it's a good fit because he knows how to build the rapport with players. It doesn't matter at what stage of your career that you are. He's going to figure out a way to build that relationship. So I don't see anything changing from that particular perspective. I think now because of his resume and everything he's earned, what is that timeline going to look like for him? Because when you are an aging player in Pittsburgh, he does give you opportunities to take days off. So is there going to be kind of essentially a pitch count? When he gets there, when Ben Roethlisberger was here, was every third day that he had off. I would imagine at some particular point he's going to get that. But again, a lot of that comes down to him, how fast he learns this offense, earning the right to get those days off. Because remember, training camp is not the same as when it was 10 years ago, right? There's no more two-a-days. There's only one-a-day practice. So those are going to be things that Mike Tomlin is going to have to monitor.
We saw last week Terry Bradshaw had some comments, that this was a joke, even the idea of bringing of him. Do you like the move? Does Charlie Batch like the move, the Steelers turning to Aaron Rodgers?
Well, you like the move only because there wasn't a lot of options from the beginning as it related to free agent quarterbacks. And I stated this back in January when you look at just what the free agent crop looked like, right? Top of the scale was Sam Darnold, and the next one was Justin Fields. The Steelers had the opportunity to potentially sign him, but Justin was willing to go to the free agent market to see exactly what was out there offered. More money was made to the Jets. That's what he made his move to go there. And ultimately, it left Aaron Rodgers available as the free agent. Now, there were other quarterbacks on rosters, but what was the draft capital to have to go out there and get those? The Steelers weren't willing to give any of those draft picks up. That's why they waited patiently for Aaron Rodgers to get here to Pittsburgh.
Expectations this season? It's a tough division. There's a lot of storylines now on every single team in that division. What do you expect from the Steelers in 2025?
Yeah, well, I know the NFL is happy for the schedule that they put out in anticipation of Aaron being here. So, there's going to be a sense of urgency here, right? And I think ultimately, when you are playing in Pittsburgh, the goal is not just to win the division. It's just the goal was to win a Super Bowl every single year, and that's not going to change. The organization up until this point had not come out to say this is a rebuilding year, and since they're not saying that, guess what? I'm expecting them to compete and go out there and potentially win that Super Bowl. So these are things that we are going to continue to figure out. But again, how fast can they gel? It's This is going to be really one of those conversations that we table, and we're going to have to pick back up in the middle of the year, toward the end of the year, to see if things are going accordingly.